Deadlock has been out for nearly 3 months now, and within those 3 months, not a single time have we seen her being played in pro play, and she has by far one of the lowest pick rates in rank, to the point where I've gone 20 plus matches without seeing another Deadlock, and people even dodge if I insta-lock Deadlock. So what makes her the worst agent in Valorant? Why is she so bad? Is it the abilities? Is it the team play viability? What is it? Well, it's a bit of everything. The main problem with Deadlock is she's not really specialized at anything. Every Sentinel has their own niche that they're good at. Chamber is extremely good at taking aggressive early fights. He can just headshot somebody and TP away. Killjoy is insanely good at holding his side, as we can tell by like everybody playing her Ascent B side. And of course, Cypher, who's insanely good at holding flank, and in general kind of like similar to Killjoy, where he's also really good at holding his side. So what is Deadlock good at? Well, she's good at hard stopping pushes, but that's about it. There's nothing else. Once they break your trip and once they break your wall, that's it. You're done. Other than that, her abilities are basically just useless. And this is why. Why is the grab net bad? Well, first of all, you can think of it this way. If you were to compare this to a Sage slow, how long does the grab net slow you for? Well, you throw it down on the ground, they're crouched. About half a second is the max time it slows you for. That isn't a lot compared to a Sage slow, which lasts much longer for greater area. Now, secondly, even if you throw it down and you hit people, they can still shoot perfectly accurate while in the grab net. So even if you peek them while crouched, they can still kill you pretty easily. The last reason why it's so bad is you can think of it this way. Let's say the enemies push B main, right? You throw it down.
No escape.
Great. But you only hit 2 people with it. Now there's still 3 people who can swing out here without any limitations on you, and you can't do anything about it because they aren't slowed enough. Deadlock is supposed to be a sentinel, so her utility should be able to slow down mass amounts of people, and that's why I think the grab net is kind of bad, because it's supposed to act as a way for people to be deterred from pushing an area. If you see a Sage slow, you're not gonna push through it. If you see a grab net, cares? You can just push through it. You know, it doesn't make sense that way. Now, onto her sonic sensor. Let's go over the first thing, the most obvious thing.
Sound sensor up.
It doesn't hold flank. You can shift through it. A sentinel usually has a tripwire or something that can hold flank. Look at it this way. You have Killjoy, who has an alarm bot and a turret. You have Chamber, who has a trip. And then you have Cypher, who also has a trip. The only sentinel other than Deadlock who doesn't have a flank watching capability is Sage. But Sage isn't really classified as like a normal sentinel, so we don't care about that. But however, I still think sonic sensor should be able to hold flank, as it seems like an ability that should be able to do it. But instead, you only can place it near choke points or something similar. Or let's say you're attacking. What good use does the sonic sensor have on attack? Well, the only one I can think of is if you've already taken sight and you place it at, for example, stairs here or lane here to slow down the enemies pushing it. That's the only way I can think of the sonic sensor to be actually good on attack. Otherwise, it's just a useless kit of utility that does nothing. And then thirdly as well, it's very easy to dodge the stun. Let's say you activate the sonic sensor when you're here because the range extends over to here. If you shoot your gun here, you can simply take 1 step back and you're no longer stunned. Simple. And then after that, it's gone. You can just push again. It's very easy to bait out and it's very easy to dodge. So that's something I think needs to be fixed as well. Now, over to the wall. Why is the wall bad? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Let's say, for example, you want to wall this choke point here. You place the wall. Great. The attackers only have to break this one node in order to get through. That's all they have to do. And they're completely through. And this only takes a couple of bullets as well. There you go. That was gone. It's that fast. That isn't enough for the attackers to get deterred from pushing it. Finally, for ult, there isn't a lot to change with the ult, as the ult is pretty good. However, I do have some complaints. Firstly, when you ult someone like this, sometimes the ult gets completely stuck and they are free to roam around again. For a 7-point ultimate, that shouldn't be possible. They shouldn't be able to get stuck on obstacles on the map. That doesn't make any sense. Second of all, it is incredibly easy to shoot people out of the ultimate. It only takes a couple of vandal shots. That is something that also needs to be fixed about the ultimate. So how do we actually fix Deadlock and make her a viable agent to play? Well, firstly, this is what I would do with the grab net. When you throw this down, this field around it would last the entire duration, and when you go into this field, you get crouched. That way, it sort of works like a Sage slow. That would be a really nice addition, because now people would actually be slowed and stalled by the grab net. Secondly, I would make sure that when you throw it down and you actually crouch on people, the part of removing the net would last longer. This way, you're much more vulnerable from people peeking you, because not only would you hear the sound cue, but it would also take you longer to get away from the net and to be mobile again. Lastly, and probably the weirdest solution, is when you throw it down, people who get immediately caught within this net gets nearsighted. What this would do is it would deter even more people and stall more pushes. You can think of it this way, right? If you're pushing down C long on Haven towards C side, one Omen flash stops that entire push for at least a couple of seconds. Do something similar like that, and I think the grab net will be much better. And not only that, it would work much better on attack as well, due to the fact that it would actually nearsight people instead of just crouching them. Because the only way the grab net right now is kind of viable is to either use lineups like, for example, this one,
No escape.
or you throw it here and it will land close to dice. Otherwise, it doesn't really have any use. Because what good is a grab net when you're pushing side here and you throw it behind the box there, for example, to stun someone? It doesn't really do a lot because the defenders will just hold the angle. Now, for the sonic sensor, how do we fix it? Well, my take on it is this. Firstly, make it able to hold flank. That's the #1 thing. Deadlock will be a much better sentinel, especially in attack, because now the chips actually have useful capabilities on attack. Secondly, you can also make it so it still stuns the same way, but maybe add like a flash or something to it as well. This way, not only will they be stunned, because the problem with the stun is you can still one-shot people while stunned very easily, but they will also be flashed, or for example, maybe nearsighted instead. This way, it'll be much scarier to push into a choke point because there's actually punishing elements behind it. You can think of it kind of similar to like Cypher, for example. If Cypher places his tripwire B main here, and then you have a smoke there as well, if you push into this, you're dead. You can see through walls, you're dead. You're just gonna get spammed. Make it as scary as a Cypher trip to actually deter attackers away from it. Now, as for the wall, here's what I would do to buff it. Remember how I said that when you place this down and these orbs do nothing, you can pretty much just destroy one orb and you'll be through? Well, what if you make it so that it's kind of like a sage wall? In that, for example, let's say there's only 2 small walls here connecting it. Make it so that these 2 nodes here disappear and make these stronger so that they have the same health as this big one. That's a really simple fix, but that could also deter attackers away from pushing it and making it even harder to push, because it's gonna stall them for a long amount of time. Or secondly, you can, for example, maybe give Deadlock rechargeable abilities. How about that, right? Huh? None of the abilities in her kit are rechargeable. You can only use them once per round. So you can, for example, make her wall maybe a little bit weaker, but make it so that it recharges like 50 seconds, 40 seconds or something after you placed it. That could also be a very great thing. Now, alternatively, let's say, for example, you're attacking. What do you use the wall for attack? There's not a lot of things you can use the wall for attack. Otherwise, if you actually have sight, you can place it at, for example, heaven here. If you've already planted A, you can place it there. That's gonna stall them. Nice. What if alternatively you can use it kind of similar to Sage, where you can actually like wall boost on top of it and you're completely accurate? Because yes, you could wall boost with it. I'm pretty sure you cannot wall boost with Deadlock's wall anymore because of this. If you place it here and you try to do the wall boost, it does not work anymore. You can really pass through the barrier here. That would be a really good change as well. Make her a little bit more battle sagey as she was supposed to be.
And so we wanted to create a sentinel that is more about reacting to the situation at hand.
Because Deadlock was supposed to be a more flexible sage. So you can, for example, do that. That will be a great addition. Now, as for the ultimate, there isn't really a lot I would change with it. However, I do have 2 buffs I would think of. The first one is give it more health. 15 Vandal bullets shouldn't be enough to destroy a 7-point ultimate. So give it a little bit more health. That way, even if they escape the ultimate, you can still shoot in the general vicinity and probably get a kill. Secondly, change the pathing of the ultimate. I think a lot of us are sick and tired of our ultimate not giving us a kill because the pathing is bad, so it gets stuck on an obstacle. It shouldn't be like that. It's an expensive ultimate. Make it behave like one. At the end of the day, though, I will still continue to main Deadlock even if she's the weakest agent in Valorant. These are just some of my thoughts as a Deadlock main with over 120 hours on her already. But I'll leave you with one question, guys. Did Chamber main stop maining Chamber when he got nerfed to the ground? Yes. But that doesn't mean that I'll stop maining Deadlock. Don't worry, I'm not as weak-minded. So good luck playing Deadlock, and please remember to subscribe if you liked the video. Bye-bye.